So I can never tell exactly when the stream starts and the stream ends. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we're on. Exciting times. This is part 3. Let me go over the things I've done since the last part that I posted, because some of the things that I've been doing are a bit boring or take a day or two for them to happen. So there's no point for me to stream in live. So the last thing I was doing was scarfing the stringers. Now I let them cure for 2 full days, and then I sanded all the joints and they look great. They seem really strong. Then I cut all the stringers to size. They're all at 18 feet right now. Then the other thing I did was I took the gunnels, soaked them over for a full day, and then I added weights to them and pre-warped them for 2 days. I'm going to lower the camera and see if I can show those guys. What I did is I kind of burritoed them in this plastic for 1 full day, and then I put weights on them and pre-warped them down. They spent 2 days that way, and so now they have a nice little bend to them, and that should help. So today, fun times are the next part. So I have all of the frames laid out. This is going to be my Strongback, on which this 2x4, on which I build the frame itself. So stringers are ready. So it's going to be keel. It's this one. Chines, and then the gunnels are the ones that I pre-bent on the bottom. The other thing I did is I'm going to be lashing the kayak together. I'm not going to be using epoxy to get the stringers onto the frames. So I drilled holes in the right places. Some of them I don't need to, because I will be lashing right on the frame itself. So this one, for example, but then there's others where the distance between the spot where the gunnel is going to go and the side is a bit long. So what I did is I drilled, Dave instructs to drill 4mm holes nearby, at least an inch over, so that I can wrap them around the hole. So the other thing I did is I sanded all of the... Oh, this one is not finished. Look at that. Good thing. I will finish sanding right now. So all of these stringers need to be sanded a little bit on the edges. No splinters, and also I don't want it to affect the skin at all. So I'm not rounding any of the edges. I'm just finishing them off a bit because they came out quite sharp from when I was ripping them from the board. As you remember, these were boards that were I can't remember if it was 6 or 8 inches wide, and from them I was able to rip all these stringers. But the saw left them a little nasty edges, slightly, so they required a little bit of sanding. Not much, but just enough to make them have a nice finish. The other thing, I read that if you round the edges, the corners too much, then stuff can get in between the board and the skin. So I gotta make sure not to do that. And the nice thing is, since I was sanding off camera, audio input capture. Okay, I'm just making sure that the audio is actually working. It seems like it is, so that's good. I got a couple of splinters while I was doing this, so I'm glad I did it off camera. Although maybe that would have been a reason for people to tune in and watch, but whatever. Anyway, So what I need to do next is I'm gonna lay down a line going down the Strongback, and then I'm gonna measure out exactly where that chine, there's so many terms, that keel should lay so that it's nice and straight, because these stringers, it's not that they're warped, but they're very, very thin, they're very wobbly, and I don't think they'll sit perfectly in place. So that way, if I draw out where that keel should sit, hopefully I'll have a nice straight line. So I'm going to remove the frames out of the way. So Dave instructs that the best way to do this is using a string, because if you make the string taut, you will always have a straight line. My dad has a fancy pack where there's a string in a little pouch full of powder, colored powder, and what you do is you spread it out, and then you pull on the string, you let go, and it makes a really nice straight line out of talcum powder in a color. But I don't have that, so I'm just going to use a regular paracord instead, and then just do it the old way, old-fashioned way. What's really interesting is that it's been a really long time since I've done a project that takes so long for some of the steps. Most of the things lately I've been doing, they can be done in a couple of hours, but this one, just knowing it's going to be long term, who knows how long it's going to take me until it's completely finished. But I do really pray. The last part that I filmed was interesting. I went back and I watched it when I was scarfing the stringers, and it was 40 minutes long, and I thought it was both interesting. I was jumping around a bit. I wasn't really watching the whole thing, but I think it's interesting for two reasons. One, you're still seeing the whole process. You get to see what it's like, and at the same time, you're getting it. You can easily jump from spot to spot. You don't have to sit and watch 42 minutes of me just talking to myself. But at the same time, you can see how long it really takes to do something, rather than, and now we cut to the next scene and it's done. So I thought that was really interesting. Alright, so it's not really going into 2/4. That's easier. Okay, so if you're using thumbtacks to get your straight line down the middle, go to the end of your 2x4. That'll be a lot easier than trying to get it from the end. Alright, I'm going to go all the way to the other end. There we go. So to warp the gunnels, what I did is I used 2 sets of weights around, I think it was 10 pounds on each side, so 20 pounds total, and that pulled on it for 2 days. And it worked really well. Okay, so that's nice and straight down the Strongback. It took a long time finding this 2x4. I really wanted it to be as straight as possible, and this one is particularly straight. Because Home Depot really doesn't have the best wood you can find around. But if you take your time, you can find some good pieces. I bent the thumbtack. Okay, let's see if I can straighten it out in order to get it in there. Wow, these thumbtacks are terrible. Alright, because it's not going to work that way. I'm just going to get the thumbtack in and then wrap the paracord around it. There, down the middle. Oops. Alright, so that thumbtack is not going to work. I need something better. I guess I could just use a clamp. All I'm doing is marking it. It's a good thing I have about 30, 40 clamps just laying around. Okay. Oh, another thing I did since part 2. So the cockpit combing came in, so I'm going to have to assemble that. So what I worked on is a mold for the combing. What I did is I took these planks that were around 9 inches long. I cut 2 pieces so that I can make exactly the same shape on 2, and then I can take them out and put them side by side to do this. If you notice, there's a nice egg shape to it. It's around 9 inches wide by 31 long. So when I put them side by side, they should be around 18 inches wide by 31. 18 inches wide by 31 inches long. And then I'm going to be able to make holes in them and put the combing around it so I can add the trim on the combing with clamps all around and glue it all together. So that's going to be later on, and that's going to have to take a little bit of time to cure, so I thought it'd be good to do this at the same time, so while this is going, this can cure and then it could be ready. I'm going to do, I think there's 3 or 4 thin strips of ash that I'm going to use for the trim, and each one is going to take time to cure. Alright, so I need measuring tape and a pencil, and I'm going to start marking the width of my keel. So my keel is going to be 3/4, a 1/16 less than 3/4 wide. So then, if I take that measurement, I can mark where that keel is going to be. Then I can take a straight edge and mark the whole thing all the way down. So I've been debating what color to paint the boat. I think I'm going to go with traditional black. And there's a couple of different ways of painting it. There's acid dye. I got this a little off. Acid dye and urethane way. Then you could also use paint to do it, as long as it's the kind that won't come off with salt water. And I think I'm going to go with the paint route because it's going to be cheaper, a little bit easier. I don't know if it'll look as good, but it is the very first boat I'm building, so it's not like I expect it to be. I mean, if I make the thing straight, I'll be happy. Let's be honest. I'm guessing I will be able to build something that floats. I just don't know how good its performance will be. That's the area where I'm not so sure about. But the exciting part about this stage is that as soon as I get this line down and then put the keel down and put the end caps on, I can start measuring out the frames and start building, and it's going to start actually looking like a boat and not just a bunch of pieces of wood sitting around in my basement. That's going to be a very exciting moment. Oh, by the way, if there's any questions, please just type them into the chat, and I'll be more than happy to answer. Or just any comments. I thought for this one, since I'm moving so much up and down, I didn't think a close-up shot was really that important. I can kind of talk about what I'm doing each step of the way, and I'd have to move that close-up shot way too much for it to be worth it. So what I did is I marked the spots where the keel should sit up and down the Strongback, and then I'll have a visual idea of where it should be if it were straight. I'll need a smaller ruler to work on that. I think I'll switch over now. One thing that I had to be really careful about was when I started to put weight to try to warp the gunnels. Oh, I'm out of frame. When I started to put weight to warp the gunnels, there we go. They started moving from side to side, and I just wanted the warp in its height, not its width. So I put chairs on either side with a weight to make sure that it wouldn't move from side to side, and then they would go straight up and down. So I don't know if you can really tell what I'm doing, but I'm just marking and going up and down my lines with the width of the keel along this straight piece of string. And hopefully I end up with a straight boat thanks to it. Okay, there we go. For the lashing, I'm going to be using artificial sinew. Hopefully it comes in soon. I don't think I'll need it just yet. There's still several steps you need to take before you're ready to start lashing the thing together. Everything has to come together really well first. You have to be very sure of where everything's going to be, and then you can start lashing stuff. Okay, I think I have my line ready. Looks pretty straight. Did I miss something? No, that looks pretty good. Okay, at this point, what I'm going to do is I need to decide on one of the two ends and which is going to be my bow and which is going to be my stern. And actually, it's a tough decision. I can't. Should I have it looking this way or that way? It's kind of silly. I think I'll have it looking this way. This will be my bow. Okay, in that case, what I need to do is I have these two markers that will need to be added. Okay, here's the forward mounting bracket, and it's going to go right here. And this is going to be my aft mounting bracket. Now, the way they need to sit, I'm going to pull up the instructions to make sure I'm in the right place. But they need to be a certain amount of height from the Strongback, because they are going to, that's going to affect the rocker. I mean, the rocker is minute, it's only 1/4 of an inch difference. But, okay, let's see the forward. Mounting bracket for frame 2, it should be 1 1/4 inch. 1 1/4. There we go. That's where that should sit. Can you see what I'm doing? See, here's where the close-up would be good. But 1 1/4 inch. 1 1/4. Okay. I'm going to need to do some drilling and use some screws to mount this on. Screws over here. Okay. Will these be long enough? Actually, yeah. These little guys will be long enough, so I think I'm going to go with these. I'm going to actually get the screws ready down below so I don't have to hold it in place when I'm up there. Sorry to be off frame, but there we go. Okay. So now if I get these situated in the right place. Hopefully that's still 1.25 inches up. A little bit more. Inch and a quarter exactly. Perfect. Okay. Nope. Too high. And the instructions are all over the ground. Excellent. This is also not in the right place. I'm going to attempt it with the other side first. And what I'll do is I'll clamp it into place and then I'll screw it in. This is what's bad about doing stuff live. Silly things you do that if I just took a little more time to think about it, and I might have done it better. But then again, I think that's kind of what makes it fun. If I do it incorrectly, I'm still need something to squeeze that as well. Let's see if that's wide enough. That's not going to work either because I need this to be a little more in the center. Let's see if I can get it there. There we go. That should do it. Well, let's see if it can hold it in place. I think what I'm going to do first is pre-drill. So that would have been the smarter thing to do from the beginning. So then the screws will go directly in the right place. So hopefully now that'll go into the right place. Yay, live streaming! Okay, let's see. Okay, that went in. I just need to check the height. No, that's too low. Yep, that's too low. That'll work. I can't tell if this is just really boring to watch or really funny to watch me struggle to do such a simple thing as putting this thing on there. Once again, I think that maybe is what makes it fun. What I don't get is why it's moving enough that, see, there, it's absolutely perfect when I measure it. But in position, that actually stayed right in place. It's exactly 1 1/4. Okay. Looks like we're in business. Let's see if I can get the second screw in. I don't like that it's not exactly the right. If I put, oh, this is plenty big. Okay, we're good. We're in business. I need to get this guy in and we're good. No. because of that last position. And now it was the shift on me. So I think what I'm going to do is just make a new hole. And you can just deal with that. There we go. Okay. That is fine. Let's just check again. 1 1/4, 1 1/4, and it sits in the right place. And it's big enough for it to come in there and sit. I think that's perfect. Alright, so that's the first one. Now I just need to do exactly the same thing on the other side. With the aft mounting one, this one needs to be 1 inch. An inch up instead. So let's put this face down there. And like I said, if you have any questions, if anything you'd like to say, how boring this is or such, you can just type it into the text box and the chat box, and I can chat back. It's one of the nice things about it being live. Just need to set all that stuff out there. This is the part where I didn't have my extension cords in the right place, ready for this point when I need to start drilling all this stuff. Does that point to the right place? Yes. There we go. We're getting close to the 40-minute mark. I think I'm gonna put this guy on, measure a little bit, and then just call it a night. These videos are getting long, and I think they become very boring. But hey, I'm just being honest about how long this stuff takes. Okay, so 2 more screws. I'm not really sure how I'm going to slide this keel into the mounting brackets. They're so long, I think I'm just going to have to open the door and slide it from outside all the way in. That's going to be interesting. Okay, let's see, we're going to be at 1 inch on this one. I'm just putting the screws in ahead of time. Okay, so this one needs to be 1 inch up. There we go. Inch. And inch. inch, and inch. So that should be the height of the keel itself, because these stringers are all 1 inch thick, tall, whatever at this point. Okay, let's see if I can. Let's see, that stayed at 1 inch. Great, perfect. Now we just put the second one in without it moving around. Inch. I'd say that's pretty damn good. I'm gonna get a little piece just to test. Another piece that's 1 inch tall, right here. Maybe I don't. All right, here we go. The truth is it fit like a glove. Okay. Excellent. So at this point, what I can do is start measuring where all of these frames are going to sit, which is really exciting because that's going to be frame number 7. Too bad I dropped all of my instructions on the floor. Trying to find the page that has all of the locations for the frames. I'm just going to start with those two. 2 and 7. 6, 7. I'll use the strong clamps later, but just to start. So this guy's going to sit here. There we go. And number 2 is going to be over here. And this one is number 2. So one thing I'm going to be doing on all of them is checking that they are level in every direction. That's pretty good. I'm going to be clamping it down really tight later. For now, I just wanted to set up the 2 main ones, 2 and 7, which actually look pretty close to each other in its shape. Okay, let's see instructions. How far they're going to be from each other. Here we go, the spacing. Okay, so frame 2, 0. Okay. Frame 3. Frame 3 is going to be at 26 inches. So right here. From the actual frame, not from the mounting bracket. Good. From there, no, 4 is 48 inches from 2. No, 48 inches has to be. Oh no, they're going to be that far from each other. 48 inches. So this is frame 4. Just going to go here. Am I out of frame already? Yes, I'm out of frame. There we go. .48 inches. There you go. Frame 4. So I'm going to write it down. Frame 3. Frame 4. Frame 5 is 78 inches. I think I might be out of frame again. Oh, frame and frame. 78 inches. So this is frame 5. You know, having to move the camera every time makes it a lot harder. There we go. .78 inches. Frame 5. Frame 6 goes at 100. Here's frame 6. And frame 7 should be at 122. Look at that, it is 122 on the nose. Excellent. Okay, I have the positioning for every frame. There's 4, there's 5, there's 6,
free and 2 is mounted.
All right, I think at this point it's a good place to stop. What's going to happen next is I'm going to get the keel in place. And then after I get the keel in place, I'll start putting all of the frames in place and the gunnels. And I'll wrap them up in a cam strap so that it'll hold it together. And it'll actually start looking like a boat. So I'll see you on the next part, part 4, where it's going to be actually mounting all of these frames and having the boat actually start to take shape. I'm very excited to be able to walk downstairs to the basement and see an actual boat frame rather than just a bunch of parts and pieces scattered all over the floor. See you next time.